This isn't your average business podcast, and he's not your average host. This is the James Altucher Show.
Welcome to Idea List of the Day. People post idea lists every day. There are thousands of idea lists on notepad.com, notepd.com. We pick the best idea lists we could find and do a podcast because these are so fascinating. The last one was about 10 things you need to ignore in 2022. And this one is from Random Roger. His real name is Roger Nussbaum, and he's been one of the most successful financial writers out there. And he wrote about embracing orthogonality, which is another way to say how to embrace being against the crowd. But first, I want to mention about Notepad. If you like writing 10 ideas a day, or if you just like reading other people's ideas, you could also use the AI of Notepad. So you could start a list and then have our AI engine fill out the rest of the list. So here, I'm going to try it right now. Elon Musk they announced he's buying Twitter. So I'm going to start a list. I'm going to title it 10 Unusual Things About Elon Musk. And then I'm going to hit fill out the rest with AI. Here's what the AI came up with as unusual things. And I didn't know this, actually. Elon Musk's unusual education. He dropped out of Stanford University after just 2 days to pursue his entrepreneurial dreams. I had no idea.
Wait, Stanford? Really? I felt like people dropping out Stanford shouldn't be proud of it. Right?
I want to just make sure this is true.
Yeah, because like if you drop out from Yale and then because like what? Who dropped out from Yale?
Well, I thought he met his wife in college. So he entered a Stanford PhD program in physics, Paulo, and he dropped out after 2 days. Whereas you finished and just got your PhD. That's where you and Elon Musk differ.
That's why you are not buying.
I think
Twitter
it's the
right
only
now.
difference.
Yes.
That could be the only difference. Because the other things seem like you, though. So like, for instance, he's been married 3 times and has 6 children, including twin boys born via surrogate. That's very similar to you.
Oh,
He
yeah.
has, he grew up with hippie parents in South Africa. He had an unusual childhood, and he was homeschooled. I did not know that. So anyway, it has a whole bunch of other AI-driven unusual things. But it's true, I did not know these things. But anyway, today's idea list of the day is embracing orthogonality, which is another way of saying it means. I'll let in Roger's words. It means to know when to not go along with the crowd, because you realize that the crowd can often be wrong, disastrously so on occasion. And to be orthogonal to society is to set out to do your own thing regardless of what others think. So
Some people would even phrase it as choosing yourself.
yes, that
Yes.
could be what it means. So for instance, actually, and this is related to something we were talking about earlier, don't listen to what quote unquote they say about healthy eating. So he says grains, oatmeal, pasta, rice, potatoes, bread, cereal, fruit are all high in carbohydrates, and which result in being overweight and having blood sugar problems, among other maladies leading to metabolic syndrome.
Well, then where's that phrase that you have to eat your fruits so you can be healthy from? Is it just like a marketing stuff?
Well, Paulo, you've looked into this stuff before.
Yep. And the answer is that there's no answer.
Oh, really? Yeah, because
It's about
like
balance, right?
But so this guy's point, Roger's point is that the incidence of obesity in America is when, America adopted this thing called the food pyramid. And the food
Yes.
pyramid was heavy in like carbs. Like it was like 6 servings of pasta a day. And that's when obesity really
God.
started hitting America.
Yeah, but for example, even this at the same time, I'm Italian. Throughout my childhood, my family, we used to have pasta twice a day. Twice a day
Oh,
for
yeah,
lunch
right,
and
right,
dinner, right?
Uh-huh.
right.
We were all in reasonably good shape. It's not like there's so many fat people and we eat pasta like crazy people. That's all we do. So
Well,
I think there's a lot of kind of, it depends, right?
It also depends on the portions, right? Like, I mean, American portions are unusually huge.
Yeah, that
So-
could be
Or
that.
the snacking in between. I mean,
Oh,
did you
yeah.
snack in between?
Yeah, I
you
would have
grew
smaller plates of pasta.
I mean,
But isn't like for instance, we know a guy, Eric Adams is the mayor of New York City, and he when he was pre-diabetic or he was hypoglycemic or about to get diabetes, and he stopped all carbs and sugars, and also he became a vegan, and he didn't get diabetes.
I think it's processed food. It's just horrible for us.
Yeah, I think Robin is right because, like, if you look at me, I'm Asian. I pretty much have rice all my life. I mean, I'm not like obese or something, and I have tons of carbs. But it's definitely the portions because because when I first came to the States, I'm like, holy shit, this portions can feed four of me. So
Well, apparently they show that if you use bigger plates, if you have bigger plates in your house, you're going to end up eating larger portions. Like people eat what they
I
can
can
fit on the plate.
confirm that this is true.
really,
Yep. Let me tell you, I should show you my plates. I eat from tiny plates, and I eat much less because of that. Yeah,
And did
that-
you
it
make a
totally
decision?
works. Yeah.
So that's why you got tiny plates.
Yes.
oh
Wow.
my
Yeah.
god,
Yeah. It totally
'Cause
works.
You also work out a little bit too because you have to get up several times to get more.
Yeah. Of course.
That's true. Very wise.
Yeah. Two
It's very
birds with
wise,
one
yeah.
stone.
yeah.
But I do have to think though that carbs, don't they just turn into sugars in your body, and
Depends
sugar
which-
is known to be a bad thing to eat.
So there is some argument for that, and it is true that one of the few things that are like there's clearly evidence for is that having a lot of added sugar is bad for you. So that's clearly bad. But most other things are basically either myths or there's not a lot of evidence for it.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I guess that's what his point is. Like basically don't listen to what people say. Or he also writes, be skeptical. And we've talked about this before, but he says politicians lie more than they used to, or maybe because information is easier to access, so we know more about the lies now. The media is more slanted, related to health. And again, do the research. Cholesterol is not the thing that we thought. It wasn't the thing that clogs us up and kills us like we used to think. So therefore, statins are an unnecessary drug. Like a lot of medicine, for instance, is used to sell prescriptions rather than used to make you actually live a better lifestyle and be healthier.
Right. And also, like, I like be skeptical. Like, we should always be skeptical in everything, because who knows the truth? No one knows the truth. Or
Yeah.
even people, even someone to know the truth, are they willing to tell you the truth? That's also the other thing. Because, like you said, information is our power. And then, withholding information, it's
I'm
the
quite
greatest asset
skeptical
ever.
about what you're saying, though.
See, that's the right attitude right there.
It's also important to be skeptical yourself too. Like I find people when they're like yelling about their opinion, those are the people most likely to be wrong sometimes.
Yeah, because they're insecure about the thing they're talking about. That's why they have to yell.
Yeah, and like look at the beginning of COVID. There was so much information in every direction, and people were getting banned from Twitter if they said something wrong. But a lot of times that turned out to be correct. Like none of the initial data or conclusions were correct at all. We still don't know what's true and what's not true, but
Yes.
we're learning. So it's good to just not follow the herd. Like I think people were afraid to say what they thought about COVID because there was a herd mentality depending on what political party you belong to, which is ridiculous.
It is
Yeah.
ridiculous.
And also, isn't science all about skeptical? Like
Yeah.
if you're a scientist, you should be skeptical because you need more evidence to prove something right.
Yeah,
That's
or you
right.
need to apply some scientific method as opposed to just blindly believing, the neighbor down the street or whatever,
Right.
or
Yeah.
somebody on Twitter.
Yeah.
And so, okay, what's something orthogonal to society or not with the crowd that's not health related? So he says, quit your job. And for instance, the IRS says the average multimillionaire has more than 5 sources of income, and a job is only one source of income. So I think Roger's point here is that look into other ways to avoid all the stresses of work. Like don't have the stress of a boss, don't have the stress of a commute, don't have the
Right.
stress of an alarm clock, and you're probably more likely to make a good amount of money if you quit your job and look for alternatives. I just want to add that people say, well, a job's a safe thing to fall back on. But of course, in 2020, in the US at least, 55 million people got laid off from their jobs. So it wasn't really that safe.
Well, like all those, things that you're going to worry about, it'll all come down to how are you going to eat if you don't have a job.
Well, that's why you have to find other There's plenty of other ways to make income. And I admit it's not so easy to quit your job today and start one of those things tomorrow. But with research and thinking about it and
Right.
looking into it, you could figure that out.
Yeah, I think what James and Roger is saying, I think their definition of job is just one thing, one 9 to 5, full time. Like investing in stocks as also another stream of incomes. Or you start a podcast that's not about anything, but you get money from that. There's still another income, but it's not your job.
Yeah, it is kind of cool to have a couple jobs.
Yeah.
You do something for a few hours a day, and then at night you can do something. So you have different friends, you have different,
Yeah.
environments, and then
Yeah.
you don't know who you're going to meet. You just have to get out there.
Yeah, I
and see
think
what happens.
I met the most interesting person when I have like multiple gigs going around, because like I work for James, I know all these like entrepreneurs, self-help people, AJ or whoever, and then all of a sudden I work for Tidal, and then I met Wale, and I mix with Snoop Dogg's, and then some of the big producer that I hang out with. They're like two totally different crowd.
Yeah, because when you don't have like a cubicle job, and by the way, I've had a cubicle jobs before, nothing's wrong with them, but when you don't have that, you have to hustle more, and then you meet
Yes.
more people, and you kind of have to bring out more in yourself because you have to sell yourself more a little bit.
Yeah, I get to
Uh,
hang out with Benedict Cumberbatch because of multiple different gigs.
Sherlock Holmes and Doctor Strange simultaneously. I would say another thing about not following the crowd is if you feel strongly about something that other people don't feel strongly about, but you think it's important, then say something no matter how people are going to react to you. So
I
like if you
do.
feel strongly, you definitely do. If
I'm
you
a
feel strongly
contrarian.
about like how people shouldn't buy a house or people should move out of cities because of the debt issues that are going to hit cities post COVID, it's important to bring this up because it affects people's lives. And but everybody will hate you for saying it because you're challenging their assumptions about the value of their property and so on.
Yeah, that's interesting because I talked to multiple friends. They're like, no, yeah, I would just agree with what Owen say, even though I have a different ideas. I'm like, well, then why are you there? That shouldn't be part of the 5% that you should hang out with.
What do you mean? Say that again.
So so every time we will talk about some social issues like pronouns or whatever, he said like his point of view is he has a different point of view than anyone else, but if he's hang out with people that have different point of views than him, he will sort of agree with them just to get on with it.
Yeah, of course, but that's just normal, right? You have to adapt what you say depending on the people you're with, because not everyone is either understanding or open to hearing different opinions. It's just
Yeah.
normal, right?
Yeah, I guess I'm thinking more in terms of like how I write articles sometimes that not
Right.
everyone agrees with, but those are the only articles worth writing. And again, it's not to be controversial, it's to say something that you feel strongly about that other people might not be aware of. So,
Yes.
what's another way that you kind of you could go against the crowd?
I mean, politics definitely some way that you can go against the crowd. I mean, not like like if you strongly feel about certain policy or certain social issues, I think you should be able to voice it out. But unfortunately, we are at the times where if you voice something that's different than the normal people think, you'll get yelled at.
I think that's very, and then you have to decide, like, is this a
Yeah.
clue? Like, should you spend time with these people? Or like, is this a clue that you should move away from these people? Or are they right? Because you have to ask, are they right and you're wrong? Or you can ask, what information are you getting from the interaction and what value are you getting from the interaction? Another thing is I think that avoids the crowd is do what you love to do and not like everybody is told when they're kids, oh, be a lawyer or a doctor or work on Wall Street and make a lot of money. But and it's unclear how much value any of those things, like what value does a lawyer bring to society in general? Like Paolo, how old were you when you were playing in Rubik's Cube tournaments, for instance?
I think I was maybe from like 15, something like that.
And so, did anyone say to you, "Why are you doing this? You should be studying for tests or whatever"?
No, because when I wasn't doing that, I was studying for tests.
Ah, so, but like, I could easily see someone saying, "Paulo, you shouldn't be doing this. You should be, focusing on your exams or take more AP, take more advanced credit classes or whatever." I know for me, when I was or when I am playing chess, people say, "Oh, why are you doing this?" and not like business stuff so you can make more money. But you always have to do what you love doing, and because life is short, and if you just do what everyone thinks you should do, you're living the same life everyone else is living.
Yeah, I remember when I was younger, coming from an Asian family, my mom still asking me to be either lawyer or engineer or mathematician. Not mathematicians, or accountant. But my mom is like, oh, if if I see someone on the street playing guitars, I would give $20. Just because it will remind me of you one day in the future. But obviously, I'm in the States right now. But one thing that I think the other thing that you can go against the crowd is that you shouldn't be just focused on one passions. Like I remember I was talking to someone else on Notepad, because everyone's like, oh yeah, I am this chess master, I'm focused chess only, and I'm physicians, I focus on physics only, blah blah blah. And then I'm like, oh, I don't have anything that I'm focusing on because I always try new things out. And then he showed me there's this thing called multi potential light or something like that. Let me see.
I think when you label yourself, which is a common thing in society, like everyone says, "What do you do?" "Oh, I'm an accountant. I'm a fireman. I'm
Right.
a lawyer." But when you label yourself, you're kind of like down that one alley, and you get to learn many things when you're not one label, and that's certainly against society's dictates in general.
Yeah, because they just want you to be the one person, the one type of person.
And Rob, what do you think?
I feel it's important to travel and to be outside of your habitat or your environment so that you can grow because you become myopic or just one dimensional, I think, if you stay in one area. Like travel, experience things in different countries. And I think it really will open your eyes. That's what happened to me.
Yeah, no, I agree with that because too many people just stay in their one place where they live and don't really seek out new experiences. Another thing is for everything you believe passionately, to do what's called steelman your opinion. So, like for instance, if you're firmly pro-choice, for instance, you have to. The way to steelman an argument is to argue the other side even better than they can argue it. So, for instance, if you're pro-choice or if you're pro-life, take the other side and argue that side even better than they would argue it. Or if you're pro-Trump, take the pro-Biden side and argue for Biden even stronger than the Biden people would, or vice versa. If you're pro-Biden, take the Trump side and argue for that even stronger.
See, my question is, why don't more people do that? Do you think because they have because of their
It's too
ego,
hard.
or is it hard?
Well, if they don't have a good reason to believe in something, they can't still man themselves.
Like nobody
Right.
wants to be told they're wrong, right? It's just very
particularly by
normal.
themselves.
Yeah, right.
But it's a healthy habit to do though, because A, it shows you that, hey, maybe me having an opinion on this is not really so important. And B, it helps you to be social and friends with people who have the other side because you start to understand what the other side is. And C, when someone really is arguing you, the other side, you can see where the holes in their argument are because they're not arguing it as well as you were able to argue it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah, I
find
think that's very important.
whenever I have to let's say do an official debate, like I've done some debates online in front of an audience, I find it's very helpful to steelman my opinion, and then I could point when the person debating me is maybe a little off, I could point out to him maybe it would have been better if you said this, and then
Right.
in the debate itself it gives me status to give him advice,
Right.
and helps to win debates.
Yeah, and also I do learn this Stillman because I used to be on the debate team when I was younger. So like it's sort of some sort of it's a sort of a technique that you have to use to sort of win the debate because you need to know what you have to lay out the possibilities that your opponent's gonna give.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, so Random Roger on Notepad, we mentioned a few of the things, but he wrote about basically embracing orthogonality, which is another way of saying how to not go along with the crowd. And he mentioned a bunch of things that we've spoken about, but we didn't talk about others. Like he also mentions no smart houses or electric cars. He has some interesting things to say there. And like what you like, who cares what others think? And he talks about conspiracy theories a little as well. Or make your own list of how to go against the crowd on notepad.com and see how it turns out.
Before we close out, I think we have to congrats Eunice on one thing because I think he wrote a status on notepad.com saying that because he's been writing 10 ideas a day, he finally turned one of the article, the Japanese concept one, into an article. So
Oh,
he
yeah?
turned one of the lists into an article on Medium.
Cool. Let me see. I'm going to go to his article real quickly and just see what
Yeah.
he wrote. Oh, yeah. This is really nice. Oh, he really explains all these things.
Yeah.
And he takes all the ideas from his top 10 Japanese concepts.
Yeah, and that's the whole point we're doing the notepad.com is to help people come up with lists, turn into article. Maybe 3 months down the road, you have a book.
Yeah, that's totally true. I find that this is a very helpful technique for writing a book. Too many people worry about, how do I write the first paragraph or the last paragraph? Just write the list of your concepts in your chapter and explain them. It's kind of like an idea list. And then at the end, let's say you have 20 idea lists around a similar topic, staple them together. Now you can write your intros, your outros, a few more stories, personal stories, historical stories, and now you have a book. This is a great technique for writing a book in a month.
Yeah, and notepad.com could be on your resume too. Imagine if your prospective employer came across your notepad idea list. They're like, this guy is creative. I'm going to hire him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe if they reach a certain level on Notepad,
Yeah.
Jay, you got to write your 10 features that Notepad should add to itself, and that could be one of them. So,
Yes.
But anyway, congrats to Eunice, who's been featured before on Idea List of the Day, and thanks everybody for listening to this.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.